Have you ever wondered why Bitcoin seems to reverse from the same price area over and over again? Or why the price can just crash into one level and suddenly buyers appear, or rally into the next and get rejected almost instantly? These are what I call buyer and seller zones, and learning how to identify them is probably the most important skill you can learn in technical analysis. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I find them on Bitcoin, the rule I personally use before I consider a level established, and most importantly, how I actually use these zones to find real potential trades. So let's get into it. So let's start the video really simple. Actually write this one down to start. Support and resistance are areas of interest, not magical lines. So what does that mean? It means when I say support and resistance zones, it means it's an area where the price bounces. It's not one specific line. It's not just 60,000 exactly. The price may bounce at 59,000, 58,000, but I then respect the $68,000 area. So again, it happens the other way. If the price is pushing towards $70,000, it may not reverse exactly at $70,000. It may reverse at 69.5 and 71,000, even spike to 72,000, depending on how much leverage is around that price. So if these are areas rather than exact lines, the next question is obvious. How do we actually find them? So the answer to that question is actually incredibly easy. You just look left. So bring up the last year's worth of data. Then before I add any indicators, before I try and predict where Bitcoin's going over the next 6 to 12 months, you already know where the buyers and sellers have reacted before. But this is where I use an important rule in my own analysis. I want the price to bounce at least 3 times. I know some analysts all around the world, they might use 4, 5, 2, 1, but this is my own rule. And again, you can work it out by yourself after a period of time when you know what works, what doesn't. But for me, over the last 12 years, 3 times has always been the right answer. So I personally want to see a minimum of 3 reactions. So that might mean Bitcoin bounce from 60,000 4 times, 3 times, 5 times. Doesn't make a difference, but as long as it hits and reacts 3 times, it's going on the board. So write this one down as well. I don't draw a meaningful zone because the price bounced there once. I want to see repeated evidence that buyers and sellers actually care about the area. So when I say look left on a chart, I'm looking for repeated evidence. So the first reaction tells me that something happened around the area, so it might have bounced at $65,000. Maybe buyers stepped in and pushed the price higher, or sellers rejected and pushed the price lower. The second reaction gets my attention because price is now roughly repeated what it did the first time. So again, you're starting to respect the area. You might start questioning what's actually happening at $65,000. But then you see the third time, I'm a lot more comfortable into my position. I'm a lot more comfortable adding money to the table, knowing that there's a clear sign that buyers and sellers are stepping up at that area. Before that, you're just speculating that and hoping that buyers and sellers step back in. So the chart doesn't care if you just draw a random blue triangle or rectangle. You've only got the evidence of other buyers. Okay, you're not trying to trade against anyone. You're not trying to get in before the market reacts. You are purely there as an analyst, as a trader, to buy and sell at exactly the same time as everyone else. Okay, once you realize that, trading becomes a lot more easy. Now let's move on to a mistake that almost every single beginner makes once they've learned support and resistance, and that's marking every single level that they find. So if every price is support and resistance, none of it is actually useful for you. So alongside my 3 reaction rule, I've actually got another rule in place, and that is time frame. So go to TradingView, open up your chart, flick over to the monthly time frame, and then you'll be able to start spotting the support and resistance on the monthly time frame, which is the most significant. If you can only find 1 or 2 on that, that's fine. Then drop down to the weekly time frame, mark again once the price has bounced 3 times during that time. Then drop down to the 1 daily, and that is where I stop. Okay, so when you're trading, or specifically swing trading or investing for the long term, those are the areas that institutions look for. Those are the ones where the smart money is positioning around their positions. When you're looking at when you drop down to the hourly time frame or the 1 minute time frame, that's where the retail are normally trading. That's where the degenerates are. That's where we play with money. There isn't real money sticking around. So when you're trying to draw support and resistance on the 1 minute or the 5 minute time frame, and you're trying to trade where the price is going over the next hour, that's where you lose money. There isn't much point trading unless you're a scalper, but that's going to be another video where we can start playing with different indicators to give you more of a confluence of where the price is actually going to go, and you're not just using the 1 minute and 5 minute support and resistance zones. But again, we'll get into that. So moving on to the next point, is absolutely crucial that you fully understand that support can become resistance. So a lot of my trades will be once a support has been broken. So let's say $60,000 held 3 times, and then it finally broke to say 50,000. When it reverses and retests that level of $60,000, it can be a rejection. So buyers no longer step up at that area and sellers take over. So that would be called a continuation trade. So again, it has to be in a trended market. But let's say in a bear market, every time a support breaks, if it pulls back to that key area which originally held as support in a bull market, it can now be resistance. And again, it's one of the strongest trades you can make when you're going with the trend rather than against it. And again, I'm not automatically shorting it just because the price managed to pull back to the resistance. You want to see how the price responds around that area. So if the price rejects the area and the bearish structure begins to confirm, you've got an incredible confirmation that the trend is continuing and it's a strong trade to take. So the reverse works the exact same way. So old resistances can become potentially support. If they break it, then the buyers step in the other way. Again, write this down. When an important level breaks, don't forget about it. Watch what the price does when it comes back to that area. Now let's move on to something called trend lines and dynamic levels. So support and resistance doesn't always have to be perfectly horizontal. In an uptrend, for example, I might connect meaningful swing lows to see if Bitcoin repeatedly finds the same sort of buying action. And again, with a trend line, you want it to be as obvious as possible. And when I mean obvious as possible, you should be looking at the chart and seeing it automatically, because that's what everyone else is looking at. If you're dropping down to different time frames to everyone else and then trying to draw some lines, that's where you're going to have the issues. That's because other buyers can't see where the bounce is. You're making this bounce up, so the bounce doesn't normally happen. So again, flick to the 1 daily, 1 week, and then see if you can find that meaningful line to higher or lower depending on the trend. That's where the buyers will step up. And again, you can see similar behavior around moving averages. So with a moving average, everyone can put the 200-day on their chart, everyone can put the 100-day on their chart, and they can see where the moving average is. So everyone collectively can buy at those lines. Again, if you take the 100 moving average and turn it into a 59 or a 52 moving average and just make up your own numbers, you're going to have the same results. No one else is going to be buying at those levels because no one else can see it on their chart. So that moves me on to Bitcoin being at all-time highs. So everything we've just learned is through historical price action, right? You've seen where the price has bounced previously in the past. You've seen where it's bounced 3 times, so it's now on your chart. When you're talking about the future and you're in price discovery, there is no history to go off. So then you start using psychological levels, so 150,000, 200,000, so round numbers. And again, you can apply that to any chart, let's say XRP. So it breaks $3.50 at the all-time high. The next psychological level will be $4. And then naturally, everyone is looking at $5 as the main psychological support. So 5, 10, 15, 20, that's the main psychological supports. And again, just because you marked it on the price on the chart as say $5, say XRP runs to $4.80, $4.90, it doesn't have to reverse at $5 just because you marked it on there, but it's just a good indication there where sellers may start reacting. You always want to see confirmation that the buyers or the sellers are stepping in and forcing that reversal before you start jumping on the trend, because otherwise you'll be marking a psychological level at 150,000 Bitcoin, and then you'll watch it smash for $165,000, $170,000 the same week, and you're going, why did I sell? Because you've marked it on your chart early and it's just a psychological level that no one else reacted to. So again, with psychological levels, you need to see the confirmation. Like on any support and resistance, you need to see the buyers or the sellers stepping in first before you actually trade it. But again, it's just a good level to watch. So by now in this video, you should have learned how to mark your own support and resistances and psychological levels. Let's put it into practice and actually make a trade. So let's say Bitcoin starts falling towards the buyer zone. We've identified it. It's bounced 3 times, say $60,000. Bitcoin reaches that zone at $60,000 the same week. Do I automatically buy? No. Why? Because historical support only tells you where you should be watching and where you should be interested. It doesn't guarantee that buyers will defend that area again. When the price does enter that zone, I want to see how the actual reaction is first. You want to see if the buyers have stepped in. You want to see if the sellers have forced it lower than the zone to really close out and break that level. So waiting for confirmation might mean I slightly get a worse entry than everyone else who just puts the entry at $60,000. But I'm entering with more evidence that the thesis is actually playing out once the price is bounced from that level. And again, I won't wait too long. I mean, if it dropped down to 58,000, caused that wick lower, took out a lot of leverage, and then the price starts moving towards 60,000, 61,000, that would be my entry, especially if we close on the daily above that level. So your invalidation might be at 57,500. So that's your line in the sand. That's where the buyers were able to defend. And the price has now jumped back to 60,000, 61,000, closed on a 1 daily time frame, or if you're intraday trading, so it closed on a 4 hour above that level, that's your entry point. So then your target could be the next psychological level or the next resistance. So it could be 65,000. So just to put it on paper, you've entered now at 60,500, for example. Your invalidation zone is just under the wick where it was able to wick through. And then your target is back at the next resistance. And again, if the price decided to break, it no longer can hold 60,000. It starts wiping out 58, 59, 57. Your invalidation point, let's say 57.5. You just shut the trade off, close it, watch the price action and see how it performs over the next couple of days and see if it's able to reclaim that area. If $60,000 support breaks, so what? Let it break. The market is telling you that the $60,000, the buyers aren't stepping up anymore. Exit your position. Okay, the invalidation is there for a reason. The market is always going to tell you what's happening. You don't tell the market what's going to happen. Okay, so you always react to the market rather than trying to speculate the future. If you want to go and speculate, go to the casino and put your money on numbers that may or may not happen. That's exactly what you're doing when you're trying to force the market to go in a different direction from what it's telling you it's going. So a few of the rules that you need to go over before you make any trade. You've got to be looking at, number one, what's the context? So what is the Bitcoin's broader trend? Is it bullish? Is it bearish? Is it ranging? You want to know what the trend is doing before you take any trades. Number two, location. So Bitcoin reaches an established buyer zone. Why is it meaningful? Has it bounced 3 times, 5 times, 10 times from that area? So you want to see a reaction, which is number three. Are buyers actually appearing? Is price reacting to the lower prices? Is selling slowing? So you want to see how the price is now reacting to that historical support. And number four is confirmation. So you want to see, now that the buyers have shown up at the support, you want to see them actually push the price higher. Which brings me on to number five, invalidation. So what happens when a zone actually fails? What happens if the price just cuts straight through it? That's the reason why you have the invalidation under the wick. Okay, so where is the thesis wrong? You need to know all of those 5 key points before you make any trade. And again, just to run through it one more time, you've got the established zone, the price enters the zone, you want to see the reaction, you want to see the price confirmation, and then you have a potential trade, but not before that. So again, if we flip it and start looking at the seller zones work in the exact same way. So it's got the same logic, but just in reverse. So first I want to see the historical evidence that sellers have previously reacted around the area. Then Bitcoin returns to the zone. I want to look for the broader trend and the current price action. And again, I don't automatically short just because the resistance is being reached. I want to see whether the price actually rejects the area, whether the bullish structure starts weakening, for example. Buyers might fail to make another high, or the price could just break another higher low. I also need to know where my short thesis is invalidated, and if Bitcoin simply smashes through resistance and holds above it, I don't argue with the chart. Like I said, price action is always telling you what's next. You're not trying to guess. So let's bring absolutely everything all together. The buyer and seller zones aren't magic, and hopefully you've written that down. Support does not guarantee a bounce. Resistance does not guarantee a rejection. So these areas are where the market has previously shown us that buyers and sellers may be interested. Start by looking left. So look at the history over the last year. Find the areas where Bitcoin has repeatedly reacted. I personally want at least 3 clear reactions before I start treating that zone as established. Then wait. Let Bitcoin come back to your level and watch what the price actually does from there. Because your job as a trader and analyst isn't about trying to predict where Bitcoin has to reverse. Your job as a trader is trying to identify levels that is likely to reverse. And then you let the price action react for you. And I'll see you in the next one.